Well, thank you for joining us this afternoon. We're Team Atlas, and we've been working on the GT Cop web app. I'm David. This is Justin, Nick, Bridget, and Alex. Slide, please. We joined this in part because we want to do something to contribute to the Georgia Tech community, and we're excited about that. But we're also excited because we have personal connections to law enforcement within our group. Bridget's father is a law enforcement officer. I used to work as a private investigator with a lot of retired and active police and FBI agents, and so part of it was just specifically wanted to help Georgia Tech Police Department. Slide, please. We came in, this was an ongoing project for GTPD, and it was built by work done by previous capstone groups and GTRI employees. GT Cop is an interactive map to allow officers to see assets around the campus. It's sort of like Waze, but for police instead of like against what you're trying to do. Our job was to supply interactive sessions which would allow officers to add content to those maps and share that content with others. Slide. Some of our unique, so here's if you haven't seen it, here's a view. Slide. Some of our unique challenges with this app is that we had summer schedules, which meant working around stakeholders, vacation and travel plans. We had to familiarize ourselves with a code base that did not come with a significant amount of documentation. And we had a steep learning curve for tools and frameworks that were new to us. To help us with that, we had access to a crackerjack team of GTRI employees, including Omar, who was on a team prior to us working on this. Slide, please. For the semester, our clients' expectations were first, to not break anything, second, provide documentation to allow future development, and third, to integrate our work with what has already been created. Now I'd like to turn you over to Justin to discuss product development.
Thank you, David. So like David said, unlike the other projects in our class, our project was building off an application that already existed. So rather than creating an entire UI from scratch, we were to implement our UI into what you guys already had. Slide, please. So this is what we were given. This is the original, the initial map that was provided. And something that challenged us was to integrate our functionality into the map while still keeping this minimalistic approach. So this is our initial mock-up. Some of the immediate feedback we received was the checkboxes were rather hard to see. They wanted them to be something color-coded, coordinated. The buttons were displaced and ununiform in size. So for our current mock-up, this is what we have. We have the new session, edit, delete button all stacked up on top of each other, one size, rather made bigger as well. The checkboxes were switched out for color-coded switches, which will turn red if they're disabled. And during our heuristic evaluation, we were able to see that people found it rather hard to just determine where their sessions were, so we added a Your Session tab at the top. And this is also another form, that our initial new session form, which also the checkboxes were something that we could use improvement. It also made comments that we had too much white space. So in our current new session form, we replaced the checkboxes with color-coded switches again. We also added dynamic searching. We're going to have it filterable by divisions, and also being able to select entire divisions. If you want to get all dispatchers or all officers in on the same session, you can do it in one click. Made the buttons bigger and trying to use up all the white space that was available. And now Bridget will talk to you guys about the front end of our project.
Thanks, Justin. So the entirety of our project is comprised of two main parts, drawing on the map and then sharing it. So basically our goal for this semester was to create a map layer, put it on the map, and then find a way to share it. And to do this, we were using an AngularJS front end, we were using Leaflet and an Angular Leaflet directive. So our approach this semester was to basically update the UI so it looks a little closer to our prototype. Then we figured out how to add these layers to the map, and then we figured out how to have it interface with the database so we could share these layers. So there are a couple different things we tried to do. The first was using KMLs, but looking through the Angular Leaflet directive, there just wasn't anything for supporting this because it's not a full function library. Then we looked into overlays, and for multiple reasons that I'd be happy to discuss later, we couldn't find a way to feasibly do this so that it could update in real time. So what we ended up doing is, in the Angular Leaflet directive, there's something called GeoJSON nesting. And basically what this involves is creating an object from the GeoJSON and then placing it on the map. So basically what we did was write a method that would then push an object that includes a GeoJSON file, a title, and then the style information, and it pushes that to the database. And then as soon as it pushes it, it also pulls it and then populates that left panel so that you can then toggle it on and off for the map. And also, as requested, all of the code is commented, and I created a document with everything we researched as well as everything we altered that I would be happy to provide to you later. Now Nick will be talking about our backend.
All right, so the backend, magic that's going on behind the scenes. So for our backend, we chose Firebase, which is actually a development platform that's currently owned by Google that has an array of different services such as hosting, authorization, and whatnot. We wanted to focus on persistence, so we went for the real-time database service under Firebase. So real-time database offers a backend as a service and is accessible through a RESTful API. So the reason that we chose Firebase is one, because implementing the SDK with Angular was extremely easy. Two, it offered a separate location away from the MySQL database that already existed. And the reason for this is we didn't want to tamper with or otherwise ruin the integrity of already existing client data. However, it is you can easily integrate Firebase with MySQL should you choose to do so in the future. How it works is you simply just implement the Firebase within Angular, so to the already existing front end that was given to us. Then you write a line of code that creates a reference to the database that you named, and then it's a series of push and on calls that either retrieve or persist data. And then now Alex will tell you more about what we're going to do in the future.
So in the future semesters that we work on this, we'd like to focus on 4 key improvements. The first 2 being user invites and input validation. Currently, only hard-coded sessions are, and they're not tied to specific users, are what we have with this project. But we'd like to add user lookup in the search bar, toggle invite status for specific users on and off, and then have sessions appear in the invited user's side session pane. Also on this screen, we'd like to have input validation. So when a user types in a name for a session, if that session's name is already taken, then an error message will be displayed, and this will help avoid confusion in the side panel. If you have multiple sessions, then you won't be able to confuse them. Also, we'd like to implement a time cleanup feature. So this feature will delete a user session after a certain amount of time. And when you're creating your feature, or your session, excuse me, you can choose for your session to persist instead of the auto delete. So if you so choose the persistence, then your session will not be auto cleaned up. And this will help ensure that your side session panel is not cluttered, and you don't have to worry about actually manually going in and deleting. And so one of the most important elements that we want to add is drawing functionality. Using the pencil button up at the top, we'd like the user to be able to click, and then on a selected session they can draw whatever they want. So, and simultaneously, others in the same session will be able to see what that current user is drawing. So this is probably the most powerful capability because it's at the heart of the application's main purpose, the ease of coordination and planning for the Georgia Tech Police Department. And now,
So next we're going to go on to a live demo, and just to show you what we've been working on all semester. So right now, if you pull up the application and you go into the hamburger menu, if you go to sessions, it will have something that says, your active sessions will go here if there are no sessions available. Then you will be able to add a session, type in some random session name, make it whatever color you choose, and then choose a location. So I'll just put it in the burger bowl, add layer. That automatically populates this left panel. Then you can toggle this on and off. So you have this in the burger bowl. You can add another session. Well, that's right, okay. Blue, we can put that, I just hard to tech. That automatically populates. You can toggle this on and off, and so on, just random, whatever color you'd like, and wherever you want to put it. So, and then you can see in the database, it's storing all of these. And then on the computers out there, if you refresh, you'll be able to see them. Let me make sure that they're refreshing real quick.
But they should be able to
Yeah.
they should just come up as we go.
So these are
Are they?
And then if you just click, you should be able to see those shapes.
And then you wanted to talk about the
This
sections
one,
that you created.
this.
So right now, we will open up to any questions, and then we can discuss anything else further. So, any questions?
Nice.
Oh, perfect.
You did a good job there.
Okay, so yeah, that concludes the formal presentation. Yeah, like we said, now we can discuss any.
I guess we start over now.